Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Stern, and I'm the Theater Technical Director here at St. Michael's College School, and I'm pleased to be the moderator for this evening's Roundtable event. Before we get to our introductions, I do have a couple of housekeeping items to go over. I would like to let everyone know that this conversation is being recorded and will be available on our school profile on the Our Kids website. And I'll ask that all except for our panel keep their microphone and video muted. It just helps us keep the number of people on the screen down for the recording. Please raise your hand to ask a question, and you're more than welcome to ask your question with your microphone and camera unmuted. You may also submit questions via the chat. Let's meet our panelists for this evening. Joining us from our admissions department this evening, we have our Director of Admissions, Mr. David Fisher, and from the class of 1987, our Associate Director of Admissions, Mr. Chris DiPiero. We're also fortunate to have some parents and alumni available to answer your questions. Ellie Maggio is the president of St. Michael's College School Parents Association. Her son Christian has been attending St. Michael's since grade 7 and is currently in grade 12. Ellie says she feels very privileged to be part of such an inclusive community and credits St. Michael's College School for shaping her son into a confident, academic-focused St. Michael's modern young man. She also has a daughter who attended the Bishop Strawn School. Raphael and Danielle Carol Leong are two of our parents. Their son Joshua is currently in grade 10 here at St. Michael's College School, and their daughter started grade 9 at Havergal College this fall. Raphael works for the Attorney General of Ontario, and Danielle works with executive clientele in the automotive industry. Mario Orsini is a first-year medical student at Queen's University, interested in head and neck surgery and oncology. As a recent graduate from Western University, Mario obtained concurrent honors degrees in medical science and business administration. He is a proud alumnus of the St. Michael's College School class of 2015. Let's begin with some questions. Ellie Maggio, if you can give us an idea of what you think the school's strong points are and where it's the weakest.
The strong points. There are so many strong points about St. Michael's College School. It is a very inclusive community. The boys do learn discipline, goodness, and knowledge. There is a very wide community in that the students, the parents, the school administration, faculty, staff, alumni, and strategic partners all seem to be grouped together. There are no dividing lines. It's a learning environment which is really rich in academics, arts, athletics, and spirituality. The faculty really does a great job of engaging students to enrich, to stretch their thinking and to use leading edge learning strategies. In addition to that, there are numerous co-curricular activities, and our boys really benefit from, I want to say, close to probably 50 or 60 co-curricular activities that they can engage in. And we also have a very strong parent association. Lots of people that volunteer their time are very generous and enthusiastic, and volunteering is a very inclusive thing. It's and I can't say that's true of all independent schools, but I find that St. Mike's really does a great job of reaching out to everybody. So I hope that gives you a good overview of some of the strengths.
Thank you very much for that, Ellie. Mario, what differentiates the school from others in your mind?
Thank you for the question. I think this is kind of an interesting idea. I remember I heard this from the president of the school when I was attending, and it's kind of part of the idea. I think there's a lot there. But he said that St. Michael's College School aims to provide what is a private school, is a high level and I think a powerful educational experience for students, but for in a way that is available to all students. So I think that the school also provides a lot of bursaries, grants. The price compared to other private schools isn't necessarily as lofty. And I think that idea is really important, is that you're getting an incredible learning opportunity and an incredible environment that I genuinely loved for my time during St. Mike's. But I think that you're also able to kind of recognize that they're trying to make it available to everybody, which means you benefit from demographics or groups that might not be at other schools, and you learn from them, and you're able to kind of develop into a well-rounded individual. And I think that there's something to say about St. Mike's there that other schools might not necessarily have.
Thank you so much for that. I think I'm going to ask Mr. Fisher and Mr. DiPiero to give us a quick overview of some of the differentiators that the school offers.
Sure. So there are four differentiators that we speak of when we talk about St. Michael's College School, and they match the SMCS of our name. So I'll address the first one and the last one. The first one is service, and we believe that our students are very blessed, that our community is very blessed, and that it's really important that we share from the wealth of the blessings that we experience in terms of our talents and all the other gifts that we have. And so service is a key component of a St. Michael's College School education. In addition to the 40 hours of community service required by the province of Ontario, we require our students to do a service every year. And by the time they graduate, most of the students will have done a minimum of 80 hours of service. We have a service day program in grade 11. And we also have a service project that's part of their graduation year where they design and implement a service project. We partnered with 28 charities last year and worked with 28 charitable organizations and to help students to complete those service requirements. So service is a really important part of our life here at the college school.
And I'll take over the next with the M. And the M for us is mentorship. And we like to think mentorship, starts well before a student attends St. Mike's and kind of extends, into their, post St. Mike's life as when they become alumni. And it starts off really with our ambassador program, and students come into grade 7 right through to grade 12. They're members of our ambassador program, and that's run through our admissions office here. Where the students are ambassadors with each other, but more importantly, they're ambassadors for incoming families, incoming students, and kind of act as this name indicates, being ambassadors and representing St. Michael's College School to the outside families and students. The second way, our mentorship program works through is really, we call it like student to student while they're in the building. So that runs from our student government, where we have a regular student government. It runs into our student prefects that we have, where they become kind of leaders within the school to show the way in terms of what a St. Michael's College School student looks and feels and does on a regular basis in terms of some of the ideas that are important to us. And then as well, it extends into our outdoor education program. We have an outdoor education leadership program, and that really, for our grade 11 and 12 students, they get to give back and become leaders and help facilitate our outdoor education camps that our grade 7s right through to 10s attend to during those years. And the next two parts of the mentorship program really have to do when a student becomes an alumnus. And that works, we have career days where alumni are able to come back and make presentations to classes of students depending upon their discipline, areas of discipline. So ideally, when Mario Orsini becomes a doctor, he can come back and speak to our community here for those who want to become doctors, and he can talk about his experiences, and and that runs the gamut into those that are in engineering, law, any walk of life. We're able to tap into our alumni to be able to come back and speak to our students. And then once the student becomes an alumnus, we have a strong alumni network where they can interact with each other through different events that we do facilitate here on campus for our alumni to help grow, grow in themselves and in their professions as well. The C in SMCS stands for community, and really for us, this speaks to the lifeblood of the school as a whole. We encourage all of our students to get involved, as Ellie alluded to earlier, in terms of being involved in the school community and whatever that interest of the student that they want to pursue. And then for some it could be music, for some it could be the arts, some it's athletics. we have over 60 clubs and activities that students can get involved with. So we feel strongly that there's something for everybody, and we really want to encourage our students and our families to understand that we want their sons to be involved in that lifeblood of the school beyond the academic portion, because it creates the spirit of what the school is all about.
So the final component, the final S, is spiritual life. And we believe very much in a faith-based approach to education. We want the young men in our school to ask the most important questions about life, about the purpose of their life, to be able to ask and identify what the most important values are of their life. To foster that, we do reflect on a virtue of every month. Different virtue is presented each month, and that becomes part of the themes for the morning prayer, and then the classroom lessons that the students are engaging in. There's also an opportunity for daily mass. We do have regular retreats for our students to give them time to think and reflect about their lives and the direction that their lives are going to take, both in terms of their courses and then their pursuits at university and then in their life beyond. So we find it's a great strength for our community to be able to, find that consolation in our faith life and in the ability to pray and to reflect and to grow in these very profound ways. So those are the differentiators, Matthew.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fisher and Mr. DiPiero. Raphael and Danielle, could you tell us why you chose the school originally? Are you happy with the choice? And in what way is the school what you expected? And in what ways is it not?
One of the most important things
I'm very sorry, Raphael, you are breaking up on us at the moment.
How about now? Are we better?
That's better.
So one of the things, thank you, Matt. One of the things that you currently that's what build through the door.
Raphael, I hate to interrupt you, but we are still having issues with your microphone and it really doesn't want to play nice with us. No, unfortunately, we're still not hearing you. Perhaps a quick exit, restart of your computer and re-enter maybe in order to help us fix that issue. I'm so sorry. I'll remind all of those who are attending this evening that the Q&A is open for your questions as well. Feel free to throw them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll let you ask your question. If I can go back to Mario for a moment, what did you appreciate most about the school?
I think there are a lot of things. I think that, the beauty of St. Michael's College School is that it provides a lot in terms of your development as an individual. I think if I wanted to try to link back all of the things that I think I learned from St. Mike's, I would have a long list, and I don't know if I have enough paper for that. I think there's genuinely a lot there if I reflect, but I think there's two that I would love to talk about most. One is academics or educational benefits, and I think I was extremely well prepared for university. And I don't think I can emphasize that enough. University is overwhelming, of course, it will be for all students. But when attending, I didn't feel like I was a step behind at all. In fact, I felt organized. I think part of that speaks to St. Mike's having concurrent courses throughout the entire year. You learn to manage more academics, more rigor. And I think that that's an incredible system. And I've spoken to other people about this just in passing. The second, I think, is community. And I know this was touched upon earlier by Ali, but I think the idea here is that you feel very comfortable at St. Mike's, and it allows you to want to attend school every day, even if, it's a lot of work or perhaps you're kind of not looking forward to the day in other senses. I think having people there that make you feel comfortable, knowing that you can be who the person you are, is incredibly empowering and allows you to develop in ways that Professor DiPiero or Chris DiPiero mentioned earlier. And I think that putting those two together, among the other things that I would love to talk about if there's more time, makes it a remarkable academic experience. And those are the things that I think have helped me the most.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think we've got the Carol Leongs back on with us. So just to remind you of the question, why did you choose the school originally, and are you happy with the choice? In what ways is the school what you expected, and in what ways is it not?
Thank you, Matthew. I hope you can hear us better now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right, we're now using our iPad. We're using a different device now. Thank you for the question. I think when Danielle and I first embarked on this journey with our son, we wanted to make sure that this was not a choice that was going to be solely dependent on his parents, but mainly whether or not Joshua, when he walked through those doors and inside those walls of St. Michael's College, that he felt like he was at home. And that was the sense that he received from the very first time that he walked in and experienced the open house. He felt an energy, he felt it so alive. And of course, since then, he's never looked back, and we couldn't be more happier with his choice. The choice that we really wanted him to embrace was something that both Mr. DiPiero and Mr. Fisher already echoed, which is the spirituality. The education has been unbelievable. The care, the teachers and support that they've provided to him have been astonishing. We have countless times reached out to his teachers, and within an hour or two, we've received a response immediately. They're there for him whenever he needs any type of extra help and guidance, and the support that his peers and colleagues that he's now met throughout the school, they've all been just beautiful individuals, and we couldn't be more happier with everything that's occurred so far. In terms of what we think as a drawback, there really has been no drawbacks that we've seen. He's been a person that has been engaged in all of the athletics, as well as the academics and the leadership opportunities. So in terms of his overall well-roundedness, he has really been lucky and fortunate to be involved, and they have really allowed him to bring out any type of shyness, any type of coy behavior. It's really been put aside. And I'll turn things over to his mother to perhaps share some of the things that she believes in.
Well, one of the things, just to give you some insight into Joshua's mindset, I think we were talking towards the end of last year, and the pandemic and the whole situation, and we were talking about the way that the end of the school year happened to be, and the fact that he has only 3 years left, and then he's going to be off to university. And his response was, and I was a little surprised but and touched at the same time. He said, "Yeah, Mom," he goes, "it's really sad though, because now I only have 3 years of St. Mike's left." So that was a good thing to hear, and we knew that we definitely made the right choice with St. Michael's.
And just to add, I think the other thing we knew that we had made the right decision was over the pandemic. Of course, he had lost contact, at least in-person contact, with many of the classmates that he was seeing on a regular basis. And they were able to meet up virtually with him a number of times. And since the relaxing of the rules during the summer months, he's been able to get together with a number of them. And in speaking with their parents, we quickly realized that the values and some of our ethics and some of the beliefs that we have in common resonated with each of those families, which I think for us is so important as both his spiritual guide, and knowing that those that are surrounding him also have that same type of comfort and wrap and surround.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I'm also going to ask Ellie the same question. Why did you and your family choose St. Mike's, and what are your favorite things about it? You're muted there.
Yes, got it. I'm not sure I could top what Raphael and Danielle has mentioned. I think that was, I could echo much of what you just said. But I did write down a few notes, and I just want to share some. The reason why we selected St. Mike's is because my son felt most comfortable at St. Mike's in the touring. Both my husband and I both attended same gender schools, so we thought that St. Mike's would be a good fit, but it was primarily because my son, because we checked all the boys' schools, and it seemed like my son connected most with St. Mike's. I think the legacy and the alumni and the strong legacy, the strong alumni, the strong network was very impressive to us. In addition, we were really impressed by the integration of spirituality into the entire school. It felt very comfortable and very natural, and it just felt like something everybody could adopt, whether you were Catholic or you were not Catholic. It just felt like something that everybody could connect with. And academics, of course, were very impressive. Just all that was being done on the academic side. And of course, the location was very good for our family. So those are the things that we thought of when we selected St. Mike's.
That's awesome. I'm going to go back to Mario for a moment. Seeing as you were a recent alumni of the school, if you could change anything about the school, what would you change?
That's an excellent question. I have to think for a moment. Wow.
Please don't say more dress down days.
I was thinking, how can I bring that in? Apart from having to shave, I have to say, I honestly think that's a very challenging question. The only thing that comes to mind, I think this is both a strength and a weakness of St. Mike's, which is kind of, I guess, how it goes. But it is all boys, and for us, I think that's part of what helped build the culture. I think that it also pushed us to come out of our shells and develop as individuals. And again, I think it's one of those things that has helped me the most, just going to university and then now medical school. But at the same time, I do think that you do make the trade-off in terms of not having an opposite gender at the school. And I do think that part of that is mediated though by, like, for example, I joined and took part in a lot of the plays that occurred, and again, those plays happened with our sister's school, Holy Name. I think that as long as you're able to branch out and recognize and take advantage of those circumstances, the difference isn't as much, or isn't really there. But I do think that there's circumstances in which you can notice when you go to university. But again, like I think that overall, the benefits and the reasoning and the rationale behind St. Mike's being all boys stands, and I do support the decision to do that. So there's a back and forth there, but ultimately, I think that it's helped me a lot in my life.
That's awesome. If I can stay with you, Mario, for just a moment, if the school were to become a person, what would its personality be in only 3 words?
Wow. Okay. The first one I would say is integrity. So I think the next one would be tradition. And I'm trying to stay away from the 3 words of St. Mike's because I think that those are known to be defining characteristics of St. Mike's. I'm trying to think of unique ones. And I would say respect. And I think all 3 of those, I hope I'm not breaking from the 3 words thing here, but I think that the idea there is that St. Mike's, to me, it has taught me a lot about being an individual that has integrity, about respecting other people and understanding their perspectives and using that as a springboard to learn and develop as an individual. And I think part of that is just the culture at the school, but I also think it's embodied by the teachers and the way that they interact in the day-to-day and the fathers at the school. And I think there's a lot there in terms of students' individual development.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go to our parents and ask, how would you describe the values of the school? And maybe Ellie, you can also elaborate a little bit more on the values of other families.
Okay. When I'm in the business of creating values for organizations, and I'm thinking to myself, what are our values that are written down? But it didn't take me long to sort of think of things that we could all relate to. the values of St. Mike's are really around high performance, striving for the best. I feel that's something that the school values, but I also feel that all the families that are part of our community also value that. It's caring, it's about caring and being compassionate, being inclusive, wanting or accepting challenge as a real positive thing, being collaborative, having a learning environment. And I would echo what Mario said also in terms of integrity. And I think that is probably something that really should be at the top of the list. Integrity and compassion are huge in our environment. And that is what makes our school so special. So not only do you feel this in the culture of the school, but you feel this in the community and the parents and the families that belong.
Raphael and Danielle.
Thank you. I think when I'm hearing Ellie speak, I can only add further that our son attending St. Michael's College is, to him, and I've heard him say this a number of times, is he feels as though he's wearing a patch. And that patch is really a badge of honor. That badge of honor is not only one that he represents the school, but it's a part of him. It's a part of his DNA. I think we've heard him a number of times now say, "Mom and Dad, I now bleed blue." And with that being said, I mean, the other thing that we've really loved that he's discovered is he's really developed a strong sense of empathy. And that empathy is it resonates with his community, whether it's seeing a homeless person on the street or seeing some sort of tragedy that's occurred in the news. That empathy will allow him to become a good, strong pillar of our community. And in addition to that, the other thing we've also embraced is he has really, over the past year and a half, developed a very strong sense of self-awareness. The things that he does has a direct impact on those around him. And I can only accredit the school for bringing that to his attention. And the last part is really, before stepping into the pillars of St. Michael's College, he was somewhat of a shy boy. And I think he's learned to be more comfortable in uncomfortable circumstances. And that, again, has really been demonstrated in the leadership opportunities that St. Michael's College has afforded him and other boys. So that's what I would add in addition to what Ellie has spoken to. And I think Danielle, I see her nodding her head beside me, would agree upon as well.
Well, it seems as though he's not this shy young boy anymore. He's a confident young man and has, no issue standing up, speaking to anyone, and usually about any different subject. He feels comfortable talking at his own pace, sharing his experience, and he never would have done that before.
That's awesome. I'm going to throw it to Mr. Fisher and Mr. DiPiero for a moment. If you could tell us approximately how many students are admitted to grades 7 and 9, and if you could give us a rough idea of how many students are international students. The question in the chat also has boarding around, not that we actually have boarding here, but if you want to address those.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for the questions. We are not a boarding school, we're a day school, so we do not have students boarding here. Typically, we would take what we would call as international students, that is students who live outside of the country, who come here. Typically, a family member is here with them, and we would have 20 to 25 coming in each year. So not huge numbers, but we do have an international component to the school body. Grade 7 fluctuates a little bit from year to year. Right now we have 63 grade 7s. We have a much bigger class in grade 8 We have almost 100 lads in grade 8. The last couple of years, we've seen the demand for grade 8 going up. And so we've been able to add an extra section for grade 8. And so for grade 9 numbers, we would look to have about 100 lads graduating out of grade 8 coming into our grade 9 class. And then we'll add approximately another 100 students to that grade 9 class. Again, it fluctuates a little bit year to year. Hard to say how the kind of the COVID situation is going to influence those numbers this year, but those would be our sort of guidelines that we're working with.
Thank you for that, Mr. Fisher. Mr. DiPiero, how much homework should students generally expect per day?
Well, that's always an interesting question, and it's hard to kind of articulate or kind of indicate as there's a certain amount, or you don't kind of mandate X amount of hours or X amount of minutes of homework. Certainly, it fluctuates with each individual subject and within each individual grade. But certainly, one of the things that we do espouse, I think very strongly is, kind of a regular review component. So even if there is no homework in a subject, we certainly, advise that it would be great for the student to kind of do maybe like a 10-minute recapture or review per course, and then then that can kind of let the drive the bus with respect to the homework piece. It varies too through the course of the rhythms of a school year, based on what assignments that are that are come due, and tests that are coming up. So it really varies, and so there's not a set amount that we say that we prescribe.
Awesome, thanks so much for that. Just a reminder to everyone, you can totally put those questions into the chat and we'll get them answered for you here. I'm going to veer way off course a little bit here because I am involved in a large number of the events here at St. Michael's College School with both that we produce both for students and for parents and alumni. If I can just go across the panel and ask, what is, or in Mario's case, what was your favorite event that we have going on here at school?
Yeah, if I go first, I did love attending the mother and son brunch. It was just amazing to see the boys, in their, their comfortable place and how they interact with each other and just getting to know the other moms. That was a really special event that I truly enjoyed.
I would say that there were two events we were really looking forward to. One was homecoming, and the other one, which unfortunately due to COVID, it got sidelined. It was the father and son barbecue. And so that's something I was really looking forward to sharing with my son this year, Joshua. But I know it's something that we're still, again, looking forward to again. But something that we did certainly participate in this year was we were also looking forward to the gala as well. But that, again, is something as a family we were, again, sidetracked due to COVID. So there are some things that we're hopefully looking forward to once all of this this medical situation dies down. We'll be able to, again, return to some sort of normalcy.
Awesome. Mario?
So this was brought up earlier by Mr. DiPiero, but I genuinely love the leadership opportunities, specifically leadership camp. So I thought the camping opportunity provided by St. Mike's was astounding for all the years. But specifically, if you have the opportunity as a leader to help run the leadership camp itself, that I thought was remarkable. You get very close with the other guys in the class, and then being able to be around them outside of the school environment and kind of developing in ways that is, I think, kind of helps you kind of even out the other aspects of of who you are as an individual, and also helps you connect to nature. I think is an incredible opportunity. So I thought that was a ton of fun, but also helped develop me as a leader and to feel comfortable, talking in front of 30, 40 people about what we should do and why, and also organizing a lot of this stuff as it is. I thought was both formative, but also incredibly enjoyable.
Awesome. Mr. DiPiero?
Yeah, it's hard for me to pinpoint. Certainly, I mean, it's great to, we do have a lot of things that are, I think, great that we provide. And you know, you say certainly, you know, homecoming is always a great way. I mean, kind of echo what has been said. It's a great way to kick off the year for you know, it kind of culminates the end of Spirit Week that we have here and the Feast of St. Michael that we have September 29th. And kind of homecoming is that opportunity to kind of kick off the year. So certainly that's it's unfortunate we weren't able to have that. But again, you keep looking forward to what's coming down the the line in terms of when we get back to normalcy as to all the great things that we do. And so you just keep looking forward and kind of keep putting a positive step or a positive mind frame and keep as I say, positive steps forward.
Ellie, your favorite event of the year?
That's really hard to pick because I'm with Raphael and Danielle. I love all the events. They're so amazing. I do have to say Christmas in the Courtyard is something that I don't think any other school does. We actually have a Christmas tree in the courtyard. So lighting the Christmas tree is always kind of very special. And singing carols, that is something that's really special. But I have to say that every single musical that I have been to is just so impressive. It is like the kind of theater that we see in downtown Toronto. I just am always so impressed by the productions, and anybody that has gone that is not part of our school really walks away thinking, how is it that the rest of Toronto isn't lined up to see this production? It's so impressive. So I know that our theater is superb, but I would say that the entire theater department really does an amazing job of queuing up our boys and also the girls that are involved from other schools, and it's just so impressive and very entertaining. So I would say all the musicals, especially Beauty and the Beast. So
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, it's an awful tough question. So I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say, as the director of admissions, my favorite events are the open houses because we love to meet new families, enjoy the time that we get to spend together with them, meeting them, sharing our school spirit with them. So they're really nice in terms of our admissions role. As a faculty and staff member, there are kind of two types of events that I enjoy. The first is anytime I get a chance to spend time with our students' parents, and we've got wonderful parents with us tonight. And the families are, they just give us so much energy. We enjoy our time with them. We know that we're in this wonderful partnership in terms of raising their sons, and it just affirms the mission of what we do, and it's a very beautiful occasion for us. All of the events that we have at the school, whenever we have a chance to meet with parents, are really great. I'd say with Ellie that the dramas and the musicals, they're events that we see the finished product, but as faculty and staff, we know the hundreds and hundreds of hours of preparation and hard work that go into them, and so they're always kind of special for me. And in my nearly 28 years here, I don't believe I've ever missed a drama or a musical. I just enjoy them so much. I bring my wife, I bring my children to see them, and they're really great celebrations. As a teacher, when I was teaching, my favorite thing was to meet with our grads. And we can see what a fine young man Mario is. And we know, Raphael and Danielle's son Joshua is a great ambassador in our school. Ellie's son Christian's a great ambassador in our school. Getting to watch these young men leave, and then to see the great men of goodness that they've become, that they grow into, and how they're serving in the world, in the communities, as professionals, as fathers, as husbands, as men devoted to their communities in so many ways it's just a great joy. So I know I kind of cheated there, but there you go. Different roles, there are different really special things, and we celebrate all of it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for that. We've got another question in the chat, and it's a multi-part question, so I'm going to split it up into a couple. I'm going to throw it to Mr. DiPiero, seeing as at one point you were our director of athletics. Seeing as the school year has begun, are we partaking in any team sports, or are they canceled for the time being?
They aren't taking place for the time being, and that's really through direction from the Ontario Physical Health Education Association in terms of having competition amongst schools for in-team sports, so that we're not really in effect allowed to do so. But what we've undertaken is within some of our team sports right now, it's hockey and basketball. We've kind of started this like skill session with small groups within those two sports with our coaches, and then it's really a drop-in for those athletes who are interested in those two sports currently. And then we have through our house system that we've created this year that we've kind of undertaken some intramural opportunities. So team sports amongst and having competition with other schools we're not able to do, but certainly there's these opportunities at the school amongst ourselves, to be able to keep the boys active, but also keep them pursuing the activities that they would like to pursue.
That's awesome. If we can, I'm going to go back to our parents for a moment, and seeing as with the COVID pandemic, we're looking at school a little bit differently. From what you've been observing with your sons, how has cohort learning been? And maybe you can also take a moment and answer: are you finding your son is in the school more or more online?
Okay, well, we can start with that question, Matthew. I can tell you that for Joshua, with his learning, one of the things that we found really challenging for him was not to be able to interact with his fellow peers. However, having said that, one of the things that he really learned to do from having to now work online is he's developed, or did develop back in the spring, an opportunity to collaborate with his other peers in a way perhaps that he never had to do before, and really delve into their minds of how their learning styles were, and how they learned the material, and how different it was for him. And through seeing it through their eyes, it allowed him actually to become a better student. So it was both a curse and a blessing in disguise. The curse being is that he really lost, or felt as though he lost, that social connection, but a blessing because he learned how to collaborate on a different platform, and also embrace different learning opportunities and different learning styles that ultimately helped enable him to perform better academically.
I can't add much to that.
Ellie?
I would say that my son has adapted quite well. I would say initially it was challenging for all of them, not just for our children, but our sons. But I think anybody that was going to technology, it was hard for the boys initially. I do agree with Raphael that my son has since learned to connect with his socially with the boys as well. So not only are they using Zoom for education purposes, but they are really trying to stay connected via technology, just because they are missing that for sure. I would say that my son is super impressed at how things have progressed from St. Mike's point of view in terms of betterment and improvement on all the technology and supporting their learning. So he feels super engaged now. And I think that's largely because the teachers have really learned, faculty has learned how to use technology in a way to make it very engaging with the boys that are working from home. So they really feel like a part of the class. And I think it's wonderful to see how things have really developed on the technology side, and how the teachers are really making an effort to make the learning so real that they feel like they're part of the classroom.
And Mr. Fisher, maybe you can give us a quick comment on exactly how our cohort learning and our hybrid learning online and in school is set up for this term.
Sure, Matthew, I'd be happy to. So in preparing for this September, it was really important that we, as a school, because we didn't know what was going to happen, and we still don't know. We don't know how this year is going to unfold, that we put a plan in place that would allow us to continue with school and to have the predictability of school regardless of what was occurring in society. So we have a plan that allows us to be fully online, fully in school, or with what we're using right now, which is our hybrid. And we can actually pivot between those three on a moment's notice. We could be one day online, one day in school, and then one day back to the hybrid. It's set up in a very predictable and easy to manage way. Currently, because of cohort controls, students are in school every single day, but they're in school in one of two ways. They're either physically on campus, or they're in school at home virtually. They're in every class. School starts at 8:30. Whether the boys are on campus or they're at home, they're expected to be in their class and to follow the daily schedule of the day, and to be present and attending no matter where they are. So essentially what happens is we built 16-day blocks. We're currently in our second block right now, and students alternate. So day one, they're at school, the next day they're at home, then they're back at school, then they're at home. We have a 4-period day where they take 4 subjects, and they're going to do those 4 subjects for the duration of that 16-day block. And then we have a special period, as period 5, at the end of each day, which is a 1-hour period that any student can check in with his teacher. There are some teacher advisor groups, some house activities, some other programming that takes place in that period 5. But any student can check in whether he's learning at home that day or whether he's at school. So we're alternating them. They'll do those 4 courses for 16 days, and then they'll move into their other 4 courses for the next 16 days. And part of the reason for that was to make the workload a little bit more manageable. It is a challenge. If we for some reason get back into a lock-in and we're fully online every day, it's an awful lot of time to be online carrying 8 courses. So this allows us the flexibility to deal with that if we have to, and it takes the kind of the students' needs and puts them front and center. So there's been a bit of adjustment, but so far the feedback from students and from parents has been very positive. And again, what we're really happy with is the fact that we can pivot back and forth, and we can make sure that school is a part of the lives for all of our students, no matter what direction this pandemic takes. So that's the program, the hybrid program that we're using right now.
That's awesome. Thanks for that great overview of how we're set up for learning this fall and perhaps into the next year. Mario, if you were to give advice to students just entering the school, what would it be?
That's a great question, Matthew. I think the most useful thing that helped me, I learned this because my brother also went to St. Mike's. He's 2 years my senior. I would say get as involved. I mean, I hope this doesn't sound like a cliche, but I would say get as involved as possible. I found that I actually did better academically, had higher levels of enjoyment, did more leadership, developed more as an individual when I I just decided I wanted to do as much as I could. I mean, obviously keep into consideration how much time you have. You don't want to overbear, but do as much as you can and actually squeeze out as much of the same mics as you can. And I remember one day it's one of my last days of grade 12. I was leaving the school and I realized I had felt like I had done everything I could to get the most out of my experience at St. Mike's. I mean, obviously that's different for every student, but I felt like for me, I was really happy about that. And I felt like I had developed as much as I could, or developed in general incredibly through St. Mike's. And it was both a level of satisfaction, but also just a sense of the school is there for you if you want to do more. And I think that that's one of the beauties of St. Mike's. There's a lot you can do, and there's a lot of ways you can develop as a person.
That's amazing. We've got time for 3 or 4 more questions. I've got one in the chat, and if you've still got one, feel free to raise your hand or throw it in there. But Mr. Fisher, what is the total enrollment of the school? And if you don't mind, if you could give us the quick breakdown by grade.
Yeah. So it's we're at 950 right now. Grade 7, we have about 63. We've got, I think, 95, 96 in grade 8. And then we have just under or just around 200 for each of the high school grades. So that's how we make up that 950.
Awesome. Ellie, could you tell us a little bit about ways that parents can get involved in the school? We've talked a lot about how students can get involved, but our parents are also really important to us as well.
Okay, great. Well, as I think I mentioned, volunteering is the greatest way to meet parents and enhance our school community. So the best way to get involved is to really become part of the parent association or a parent ambassador. So those are 2 great ways. And if I could just say a few things about the parent association, we have about 10 committees, and the committees are populated with different people on the committees. Everybody's a volunteer. Things are very inclusive. You can, well, the parent association, by the way, is the entire parent community. So you can choose however involved you want to be. There are some parents that are more involved than others because they can be more involved than others, and others, want to volunteer some time, and they volunteer maybe 3 or 6 hours a year. So you're welcome to do whatever you can do, but know that the more you volunteer, the more connected we all feel. So parent association is a great way. We have monthly meetings. They're on the 2nd Tuesday of every month, except for March. And we welcome you to ask more questions. You can get in touch with us just by contact. We have a parent page, which is on the website, and our email address is there as well. And so are all our executives and parent and committee chairs are listed there. Reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to talk more about how you can get involved. And Mr. Fisher, you could talk about the Parent Ambassador program, because I think that's another way where there's an overlap. The parents that are on the Parent Association are often involved as a Parent Ambassador as well. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Ellie. So we have, Mr. DiPiero mentioned earlier, our Student Ambassador program, and we typically have close to 200 lads who serve as student ambassadors. So we've been working to put together our parent ambassadors. Really, parent ambassadors have been operating informally for as long as the school has been involved. Most of the families that we meet in admissions tell us that they know the school because they know a current student, they know an alumnus, or they know a current family, and they've already spoken to that family. So that's really the work of being a parent ambassador. But we have opportunities for incoming families to meet current families. We're going to have an ambassador event, a parent ambassador event a little bit later on in the admission cycle. And so we want to give families that are looking at the school the opportunity to meet with current families. And much like this evening, we've got two lovely families here, and they're sharing information with all the families that are visiting along those lines.
Awesome. Before we wrap up, I'm going to throw one more question. I'm going to have Mario answer first, but anybody else can add on to the end of it. What would families find most surprising about the school?
Glad I'm going first. Thank you, Matthew. I think that there's I wouldn't say a stereotype, but I think an expectation of St. Mike's to be very athletically focused and athletically minded. And though I do think that it's very strong in terms of their athletics, I think the school excels in so many other things. And I know you've mentioned them earlier, but arts, for example, the incredible performances done in the theater. And at least from my personal experience, what I thought was also incredible and helped me in my current state is the academics. And I don't think I appreciated that as much while I was there. But when I left and I kind of met other people from other schools and you kind of talk more and you do classwork together, you really appreciate how strong St. Michael's prepares you for that. So I think that the surprise there is that you're really getting kind of a developmental process for your son, for me, at least in my experience, that is very well-rounded. And I think that perhaps it's a little bit underappreciated at times.
Anybody else have anything to add?
Yeah, I think something that we've learned is that there's really nothing at St. Michael's College that now surprises us, because between the pandemic on how well they were able to pivot to how much they embrace the idea of forward thinking and caring. I mean, just to give you an example, the boys, as you know, as a function of academics, it's not just the spiritual guidance and just the book knowledge, but they know that the boys really want to be engaged in some form of physical activity. And so they developed a fitness in a bag. And when I saw that, I went, what is a fitness in a bag idea? And sure enough, all the boys are going to be getting literally a fitness in a bag, a medicine ball, a yoga ball, a mat, a variety of different tools for them, and an app for them to use to track and monitor their physical activity, so that it really conjoins the idea of mind, body, and spirit. And in addition to that, the other thing is just how well and how seamlessly EDSB, which is the platform that the school uses to not only allow the parents to be involved and know what's going on with their school, and in particular what our sons have been doing on a day-to-day basis, but allows us to plan ahead for vacations. I mean, not that that's the be-all end-all, but for vacation planning and family gatherings, so that we know where and what is important, or what we can do to help our son prepare and get organized. So there's nothing really that surprises us anymore about what St. Michael's College does. They just are so great at thinking ahead of the game and preparing for every turn.
I think that, sorry, Matthew, can you just repeat the question just so that I'm answering it correctly?
Of course. What would families find most surprising about the school?
Right. Number one, I feel the most surprising, parents would find it very surprising that there's very little follow-up required with teachers. Teachers are on top of things. I feel that if there's anything to be concerned about, you will be contacted. And I think that is very different from most other schools. Teachers are very engaged. They know exactly where your son is at. If you have any questions, they know exactly where they're at, and they could give you an assessment of them. They may not be able to tell you the exact mark, but they know exactly where they're at and what they need to work on if they need to work on anything. So that is most surprising, I think. Number two, it's a big school, but it's really not big. So even though we have 1,000 students, you never really feel like there's 1,000 students. And you always feel that there's help only an arm length away. So I think that that is also very surprising. And I just want to circle back to something that Mario said earlier, in that he really enjoyed the leadership camps. What has been surprising for me is when your son enters into grade 7, he's introduced to little L leadership. And by the time he's in grade 12, he is big L leadership. And the school tries so hard to make sure that every boy has an opportunity to be a leader. So that is not something that you have to ask the school about. The school really just tries to understand the boys so well, and encourages them to participate in different ways. So I think those are the 3 things that I think parents would find most surprising.
Thank you so much for that. We are just a little bit past the 8 o'clock mark. So at this time, before I wrap up the evening, I'm going to ask Mr. Fisher to offer some closing remarks and some reminders about some of our upcoming events and deadlines.
Thank you, Matthew. Well, I'd like to thank all of our guests here, all of our participants, especially our panelists, for being here this evening. It's such a joy to be able to have you join us, and we really appreciate it. And I also want to thank all the parents and families who joined us this evening. In terms of next steps, we'd encourage you to consider going to applysmcs.com and registering there. It doesn't commit you to an application, but what it does is it allows us to communicate more directly with you, to invite you to upcoming admissions events. We do have 2 virtual open houses coming up on October 22nd and October 27th, and you can register through applysmcs.com to attend one of those evenings. The evenings begin at 7:30. There will be a kind of a formal presentation of about 30 minutes. Then there will be a live Q&A with Chris, our admissions assistant, Kim Chilati, and myself. And then you'll have an opportunity to do an interactive 3D tour at the conclusion of that evening. We also have some other admissions events coming up. We have a live webinar with admin and teaching faculty. We have a parent ambassador event, and we have a student ambassador event. And so those are certainly events that you'd be welcome to come to as well. Another nice feature is what we call our family meeting. And so you can schedule a family meeting at applysmcs.com. It gives you the opportunity to meet with Chris or with myself. You can have your own individual family questions answered. You can get more information about our programming. You can learn more about the admissions process and kind of the admissions steps. So it's really, and we book a 2-hour window for you so that you've got plenty of time. You don't have to use that whole window, but you certainly have plenty of time to be able to get to know us better. And it also gives us a chance to ask you as a family and your son some questions as well. So those are some things that you might like to consider. The joy of our work in admissions is meeting families, sharing our school spirit with them, and guiding you through the admissions process. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time by email or give us a call. We're always happy to meet with you and help you in any way we can. And we're so grateful for your sharing this evening with us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fisher, and I'll echo Mr. Fisher's comments by once again thanking our fabulous panel this evening. Your responses to our questions were awesome. As well as those who participated this evening, thank you for attending, and we do hope to see you at our upcoming open houses next week and the week after. This brings us to the end of our roundtable for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.